everyone, it's Lily, and today I'm going to be talking to you about 5 steamy Otome games that you can play on mobile, which I think is quite nice because mobile, it's easy for people to play, you don't need a console or PC or whatever, so all great. But before I start, note that although I would not consider any of what I include in this video spoilers, I'm aware that what you consider spoilers and what I consider spoilers may not quite align, so if you're even a little bit sensitive and you don't even want to know what's on the App Store or like any pictures of the characters at all, then I would swiftly move on. But anyway, let me start. So firstly, thank you very much to Meryl, Eleanor Sensio and Uli Troyo for the monetary support. I truly appreciate it, and this will go towards improving my channel. I have actually got emojis now, which I need to announce on YouTube, so that's something I need to do. But I'm really looking forward to those because they look really cute. So I've got all my appreciation is going towards you guys. Also, question of the day: what is your favorite mobile Otome game? So if there are any that you really would like to suggest to me or anyone who watches this video, then comment them below, and I'll be going through them because I'm always out there looking for mobile game suggestions because yeah, they're just easy to play, but enough talking about the rambling on. Let me start talking about the Steamy Otome games. So first up is Puppet Boss. This one is like, I did not expect this to be so steamy. It just, everything happens for like no reason, and I find this sort of thing hilarious because it's like, oh, what did I just read kind of situation. But it's about a main character who works at a men's clothes company. She's, I think, the boss, so the CEO, and of course for various reasons ends up sleeping with all the love interests, because that's totally normal. And yes, it is Steam overload. Like, I think out of the mobile Otome games I've played, this one's probably highest in that it's probably most realistic, and also because the main character is very like straight to the point. There's like no floweriness. It's just, yeah, it all happens. I do find it funny. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. Note that the rating system in this case is based on mobile games only. I'm not really, sort of picking it out of a scale from mobile all the way to like PC or console. So bear that in mind. But of all mobile games, I give it a 6 out of 10. Reason being that the affordability is extremely low. So here I've put hearts for how steamy it is, and I've put a diamond for how like affordable it is. Unfortunately, although the Steam levels and like how smutty it is like 95%. I didn't put 100 because 100's like, you see everything. This, it's like you almost see everything, so that's why it's 95%. However, unfortunately, affordability is 10%, and the reason for this is that I feel like this is one of those games where if you don't want to spend money, you may as well just read the chapters that are available for you and then kind of, yeah, just leave it. Just because I personally am not planning on completing this because the paywall is quite high in my opinion, because there is like a gacha system where you can watch adverts for however many tickets, then you'd use those tickets to pull for clothes, and then if you get so many clothes you can buy a certain item which you would then put on the love interest, and then you get to read a bit more of particular chapters. But like the number of times you have to like pull for clothes, it's just a bit too much. So yeah, my suggestion would be download it, play the bits you can, maybe like grind a tiny bit and then just leave it at that, because otherwise you will have to pay, which if you're happy with that, great, but if you're not, then that's my suggestion. Going through some of the characters from left to right, left guy with dark hair is he is interested in all sorts of things in the bedroom, shall we say. He's just, yeah, and with lots of different kinds of people at the same time or independently. So that's the kind of character he is. The second one from left, with the white hair, he is a sub. He really wants to be a sub, and so of course for some odd reason the main character ends up becoming his dom, and it's quite refreshing, actually. I haven't actually seen something like that so much in Otome before. Because, I mean, R18 Otome games are kind of rare anyway. But yeah, it was refreshing. Third one is Woman, which is, again, kind of not so often seen in Otome games. I think she's loved the main character for ages now. Like, she's totally in love. So that's kind of probably one of the sweeter routes. I'd say she's more of a dom than a sub. And the one on the right is he has this unfortunate issue where if he smells fragrances of any sort, he gets all riled up. So yeah, things happen and then they end up in bed together because, you know, that's totally normal. This game did get a good giggle out of me with how ridiculous it was. But yeah, so I gave it a 6 out of 10. I would recommend it in like a just play it for fun, like the free episodes, and be like, okay, that was cool, and drop it type of way. It was funny. It was funny. Next up is Love Liar. So this is about the main character who seeks revenge against her ex, who was an a-hole to her, and but for some reason I can't quite remember the details, but there's this potion that the devil has that one of the 4 love interests ends up taking, and unfortunately, if that person who took this potion doesn't do anything of an intimate nature with the main character, then they, yeah, I think they like die or something. It was something crazy like that. But of course, they're all behaving like they're in love, so you don't know who it is that took the potion. So the main character has to basically be a complete, you know, she just sleeps around with everyone essentially because she has to. Because obviously she doesn't want anyone to die, and everyone's behaving like they're in love, so it's really hard to tell who took the potion and who didn't, that sort of thing. But yes, and also not to mention the symptoms are that they get really riled up, like they all get really, yeah, they just want to do things with her every now and then to an extreme effect, and you're like, oh my god, and then things of course happen. Again, it's hilarious. Love Liar is a story taco game, so also note that some of the translations like the localization sometimes they will use numbers instead of letters. I don't know why, but it just, yeah, I thought it had a charm of its own, because whenever there would be like descriptions of certain acts happening and then they throw in a word so it's just not appropriate. It's just so good. I love it. It's you think bad localization or localization that isn't quite appropriate would ruin the experience, but for me it actually kind of improves at times because it cracks me up. So I gave it quite a high number actually, 8 out of 10, because I really like the art style. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say it's one of the more affordable story taco games, because, so I think it's affordable if you don't care about the CGs, because what happens is this is a layout. So you go through the story, you've got different episodes. Choices that improve affection tend to cost gems, so that's where I put my gems. I'd focus on trying to get with one character. I would suggest Timothy, the one with brown hair, because he's quite easy to increase the affections, because different characters, it's got a variability. But I'd pick one character, pick the options that are happy for that particular character, and then don't bother buying the things or the clothes for the CGs, and just go through the whole route that way, because then once you get through an entire route you can start again, and every time you get to a certain part of that route you get like gems as sort of like a well done kind of thing, so you can sort of farm gems that way to then save up for clothes or for items. Because what happens is you go through the story, every now and then there's this thing called critical episode, and that's when I think they get really riled up. You can make choices, but after you made certain choices an option will come up to use a particular item. You can either pay gems to buy the item to see what happens, which comes with a CG, or you can opt not to and then it's no CG. But then there are also these date episodes where you can only go on a date if you've got certain clothes, yeah, so that's another part where you would have to spend gems. If I didn't take that into consideration, the affordability would be a lot higher, but with that considered, it does kind of decrease it a little bit. I think without paying, it's doable. However, I would highly suggest paying for this thing called remove ads, which means you don't have to watch the ads, and it's such a time saver because you can just like click watch ad to get 5 gems, but you don't have to watch the ads, so you can just like open the app, click it, move on, that sort of thing. But of course that's only if you're happy with that. If you aren't, that's cool too. Just, you know, grind for the gems while watching ads, and that's okay. But let me go through the characters. So they all, as you can tell, have really amazing blushy faces. These are the images, or CGs, if you want to call it that, that appear at the very beginning, literally like 3 minutes into the game. It might have been less actually. It's like the first image that pops up. One from the left guy is the boss of, I think, a marketing company. The second from left, the brown haired guy, is an actor. And the fun thing is that this one also has 2 female love interests, which is the one, the 2 on the right, the dark haired one and the pink haired one, which I think is nice for those who are looking for female options as well. The dark-haired lady is a CEO of, I think, an agency company, I think, and so is the pink-haired one. They are both, I think, childhood friends of the main character. The dark-haired one is actually twins with the CEO of a marketing company, and you do see them bicker a little bit here and there. But they are all great. I really like them. I really like this game despite the paywall, and you know, I am determined to like farm those gems and complete it. I guess it's one of those things where with mobile games you just have to be patient, if you know what I mean. In terms of steaminess, I'd say graphically speaking it wasn't as steamy as Puppet Boss. You don't necessarily see what's happening, it's more like descriptive, if you know what I mean. So you see what's happening in the words, but you don't actually see it in the form of a CG or anything like that. So that's why it's not like 80% plus, but it's 75%. But it's steamy enough that I would count it as a very steamy game, you know? Next up is Twisted Lovestruck. So this is about a main character who's wandering around in the woods, because of course that's what normal people do, and then someone's like, oh, you should go home before the moon rises or you'll be stuck, and of course she doesn't go home, so she gets stuck, and then she becomes a teacher at this monster school. The monsters of course all want her energy because she's got like pure energy, because of course the main character is always special in some way or another. However, when they do get their paws on her energy, they get weird, like, you know, they get all in heat. I guess is the best way to describe it. And yeah, things get weird. So if you ever want to date, like, or do things with a monster or a demon looking thing, then this would be like great for you. Again, it's Story Taco. Some of the localization is amusing to say the least. I play these games because it's funny more than anything. So if you feel the same way, then this is another one. I haven't fully played this game yet. I've only played like, I guess, 30% of a route, so this is still early days. So I say 7 out of 10. I might change my mind after I've played it a little longer. But yeah, so far it's been good. These are the characters. The one on the left, I don't actually know them very well, to me. If I remember correctly, he's like a teacher person. To be honest with you, because I haven't played it long enough, I don't actually know that much about each of these monsters. What I can say though is that they all have very different personalities, and my favorite is the Chanho, the guy on the right with the red hair. I think he's quite cool. As you can see, some clothes, I had to cover up certain details with Chappie's head so that, you know, YouTube wouldn't like take this video down. But the outfits that you can get for them is ridiculous, and I'd say the sort of Steam level is sort of similar to Love Liar, but because you get these weird outfits, I've increased it a little bit by 5%. I think also the CGs are a little bit more graphic than Love Liar. I personally prefer Love Liar, but this one is, yeah, if you really like Steam, then this is great. Again, affordability is 30%. Ad removal was expensive for this one. I was like, why am I paying so much money to remove ads? But I also know that quality of life, it's so much easier if you remove ads. So I did suck it and pay the money for ad removal, which has made playing it a lot easier. I'm sure I'll probably like play one route and then like grind it so that I get all the gems and stuff, and then eventually complete it, although I'm sure it'll be a long journey. Definitely. Note that once you pay for the options, the next playthrough they become available for free, which I think is a really good thing of Story Taco. I hope they don't change that, because that's actually one of the reasons I'm more than happy to play their game and like spend ages trying to get all routes. So again, you get a female option, which is nice for those who want like a female option as a love interest, which again isn't really so common in Otome games for consoles. Fourth one is Secret Crossing. This one is about a main character who is a researcher working at a lab. She accidentally germinates these, you know, sexy plant people. What's that called? I think they're called man snakes. Was it man? I don't know. Something like that. But they all are of a different species. But yeah, because she germinated them accidentally, they all want her. And it's just a bit of a mess, to be honest. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Reasons being that although the affordability is high at 60%, it is this weird like gacha system. So I would not consider it a gacha game, because the gacha feels more like a gimmick. So you know how in gacha games you want to keep on rolling to get a better card? Well, in this, as long as you've got 4 decent cards, you don't really need to roll for more, because the cards are there more to, you know, progress the story rather than because they each have a story or anything like that. So I'd say the gacha is a weird gimmick that they didn't really need to add. But I think it's, as you can tell from the outfits here, there are so many like pervy options that makes me laugh. So for example, there's this thing called Visit, where you go to the like visit place and you pick your, you know, the sexy plant person that you want to interact with. And then if you poke a certain spot that they like, which some of them like being poked, you know, in interesting places is the best way to put it. The intimacy increases, and that helps you when you're going on to defeat like these things, because it's also like a map system. Think of Otome. You know how you've got like the little map like blocks, and you have to like beat that particular score in order to move on to the next part of the story. It's a bit like that, and poking them in their favorite places every day helps increase intimacy, which counts towards your like attack score basically. And it's just, it's weird. That's why I've put the Steam levels to 85%, because that included, and also the things that happen in some of the episodes where it's like clear that they, you know, are doing something and they're all really pervy. Apart from the only one that's not really that pervy is the guy with the white hair and white clothes, the third from left. The others are just a bit pervy in like all their different ways. Affordability is 60% though, because I feel like you can just casually play it. Unfortunately, this doesn't have a sort of ad removal like the other Story Taco games, but I don't know. I feel like it's quite easy, because you can go in, just you watch ads for like the extra hearts or whatever to do the research, the levels, to collect the little things, and then like upgrade your cards. And then it's just, it's if you're the type of person that can casually play it. I'm quite like that, where I'm just like, I log in, do the things I can, and then like it might help me move to the next level or not. If you're like me, where you can casually play like that, then this is decent. It's affordable. I think it's, yeah, it's all right. It's all right, which is why I gave it 7 out of 10. However, in terms of story, there really isn't really much going on, or it feels like there's not much going on, so that's why I've given it like the score it is. But yeah, it's fun. If you just want pure smut, this is perfect, because the things that happen are entertaining, and I haven't come across like any CGs necessarily, so in that sense it's a little bit, I'm curious how they implement that. But yeah, we shall see. I think I'm almost done with one route. Oh, and also let me go through the characters per, you know, from left to right. The left guy is a total sub. He is the type of person that blushes because you teased him or did something. Main character's like sometimes very, you know, straight up with the things she does. And yeah, he goes bright red really easily. It's kind of cute, I'm not gonna lie. Second from left is a carnivorous plant. Bearing in mind they all have species names and everything, it's hilarious. He's the one I'm currently trying to complete. And he's a carnivore, so he always wants to eat the main character. I'm curious to see how the other routes go, because in his he's like always wanting to eat the main character because she smells tasty, his words. But I'm wondering what the other people are like, you know? So that's kind of like my curiosity. Once I finish his route, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna try the other characters. The white-haired guy is probably the sweetest and most innocent. He's a Tsunboy. I don't know, he seems always ill. I don't really actually understand the lore behind him. I think he's not very good in light or something, and he gets tired easily. I don't know, but he's some species of plant person that seems to be weak. The one on the right is I think she's the most forward out of all of them. And you know, you see those little vines? Yeah, she tries to, like, she moves them at her will, and, you know, they go up certain places of the main character, which sounds uncomfortable, to be honest. I think that's another funny thing. Now, fifth but not least is Pheromone. I've given this an 8 out of 10. So this game is kind of more in a Western setting where it's like there's a kingdom and she's a priestess, but it's a world where pheromones are a big deal. Different people release different scents, and it can have various effects, particularly nobility. So the nobility release pheromones, but like the commoners don't, and that's kind of the setting. The main character is a priestess, and yet she releases like these crazy pheromones that she needs to conceal, because, you know, when the love interest smells her pheromones, they go wild in the sexy sense. So again, it's one of those scenarios. I think this is probably my favorite one. Reason being that I guess I like the whole kingdom in the West setting anyway. But it's also because it was the most affordable. I think I paid about £7 just to get like a gem pack or something with the ad removal. And that helped, like, with that, I could get through every single route completely without any problems. So I thought, you know, it was easy for me. I didn't have to, like, be too patient or anything. I could just, like, go through it. I also liked that the Steam levels was of a kind of... It was good in that some of the CGs were steamy, others were kind of more suggestive, and most of it was in words. So a bit like Love Liar, except you got some CGs with more... I don't know, there's just something about this one that I really liked. Let me quickly go through the characters. One on the left, he is, I think he was a head priest or something. He doesn't actually get affected by pheromones, if I'm correct, but he's a little bit mean, and I love a mean guy, so I think he was my favorite in the end. Second from left is the childhood bestie. He clearly likes her, but she doesn't really see it, I don't think. And there are some interesting things that I'm not gonna say because it's spoilers, but something that happens in one of his like memory episodes, I was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was quite funny. Third from left is a noble. He's always by the side of the what's it called, the queen, because the queen is supposed to be this person that releases pheromones like crazy and makes everyone crazy. And yeah, he's always by her side, which, by the way, the setting of this world is weird because the queen has these queen bee parties, which is basically a bunch of people with the queen doing stuff all at once. To decide who is the best to have an heir with, essentially. So weird. I don't get it, but hey, it's an R18 mobile game, so you know the the setting is always a bit out there. But yeah, he's quite uptight. I thought it was quite funny because then you end up in situations and his blushy face would be just so good. Oh, I liked it so much. Fourth guy, I thought he wasn't a favorite, but I thought he was quite fun. The only issue I had was there was a trope that I'm not huge on. Because that trope makes Otome games boring for me. But all in all, I thought he was great. There is a scene in his route where I was like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, what's going on? So I very much thought that he was a fun character as well. To be honest, I like all of them really. I think my favorite is the guy on the left, but the childhood best, oh, I don't know. As I said, I really like them. I think my favorite is the guy on the left, and the others are kind of like on the same level. But yeah. So less steamy than the others, but extremely affordable in my opinion. I think you could probably get through all routes quite easily, even if you don't pay. So that's something to bear in mind. So I keep on talking about smart versus affordability, and that's because I think with mobile games, how affordable a game is so important. Obviously in consoles and PC, you just need to pay like this much and then you can get the entirety of all the routes. Whereas mobiles, you actually need to kind of calculate like, if I spend this much, will I be able to get through all routes? Because the last thing you want to do is like throw money at it and then not, like, in the end you've spent like £50 or something and then you haven't even got through all routes. Like, you don't want that situation to arise, which is why I thought I'd kind of go through like which one I thought was the most smutty, but which one I thought was most affordable, which I guess I kind of already mentioned. But so I'd say out of all of them, Puppet Boss was definitely the smuttiest. Like, it was the steamiest. It was also very like real life sort of slice of life style, so it was, yeah, it was intense. However, it just, the paywall is so high. I wouldn't recommend you throwing money at it. I would really recommend, like, if you're gonna spend money on it, make sure you calculate how much you would need to like get through all routes, because this one's really tricky. The gacha system is an actual gacha system, not a gimmick gacha system, if you know what I mean. Love Pheromone, on the other hand, has probably got the lowest like Steam score I gave it, but is most affordable. Because yeah, as I said, I don't think I would have needed too many too much. As I said, I only spent like, I think £7 and managed to get all routes, which if you compare it to like a console game or like a voltage game, I think that's pretty decent. So in that sense, I thought it was very affordable. Another one that I have not mentioned is, like, to like finish off this video, another one that I sort of haven't included is Love Unholy Sea. I tried to play this game, but it's a bit like Mystic Messenger, where you've got messages and you have to answer them, and I don't know, it didn't really work for me, but I have heard that it gets very steamy, so that's another one to check out if you're curious, and report back to me if you think I should check it out again, because yeah, it does sound interesting. I think I can't remember the premise, but yeah, if you like Mystic Messenger and you want like smutty Mystic Messenger, then I think that's the game for you. But anyway, that kind of ends my sort of, I guess, recommendations. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and now you're going out downloading these games because you want to know what they're all about. I definitely am one to kind of sort of, I don't know, I waver on whether to spend money on these games or not. I am a sort of, I strongly believe in that if I've spent hours on a game, then I'm happy to give them a few pounds, because if this were a console game, which I understand console games are more, you know, higher in quality typically because of the voice acting and like the grandiose plot and all of this, but I do think that people do put, you know, effort into these, so sending a few pounds for like ad removal is perfectly fine. But I also understand that people probably play on mobile because they can't afford console or because they can't afford a PC, and it's like, oh, I can play an Otome game on my phone, so they're definitely more accessible. And sometimes, you know, if you can play it for free, then that's great. So, but Anyway, again, enough rambling. As is always the case, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Oh, another thing is, I did briefly go through these Otome games, but if you would like me to do like a more extensive review on one of these, then please do let me know. It may be in the future because I haven't like quite completed them or played them too much. But if you are interested, then let me know and I will consider it. But anyway, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and hopefully I will see you in another one of my videos or streams. Bye!